How y'all doing? Welcome to the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. This is your host Cody Potter. How you doing, guys? I'm going to go over like day 3 and day 4. Just got back from training camp. Got a bunch of things to report from out there. First, we'll start with Terry. Terry was present, man. He's got a little injury. They're talking about an ankle. He's on PUP. I think that has more to do with an injured contract not being signed. But when you're getting fined $50,000 a day. It tends to bring you in. You'll be present, be with your teammates. It was cool to see him out there signing autographs for the kids and everything like that. Really, really excited for what I saw, man. This is the whole point, man. I'm going to start with this Terry thing, and then I'm going to get into the training camp for today. The thing about Terry is him not being there, man. It gives you a lot of time to develop chemistry with other guys on the roster. I know I've said this before, man, but guys like Jalen Lane, man, I've mentioned him. I've mentioned all these rookies, second-year players, man, and that is the identity of this team going forward, man. That's why they're being drafted. These are the players that you're going to build around moving forward. This is the culture. You brought in veterans to, establish that culture quickly, give them guys the way that things are going to be done in the locker room. Those guys take it over when them guys leave, like Bobby Wagner and things like that. So we all know who Terry is as a person, man. Terry's a great guy, man. He did it for the fans. He came out. It was really, really cool. Got to see like John Keim and J.P. Finley and all them guys out there, man. They're gonna put Santana Moss in the Ring of Honor, man. It's pretty cool. But onto the Terry thing, man. Terry not being present in camp. You miss his leadership regardless, man. So that, getting him in camp regardless of the contract situation, that's going to get handled on its own time frame. But I actually like it. No fan's going to say I don't want Terry McLaurin out on the field. Of course I want Terry McLaurin out on the field. But the thing about it is for me is Jaden Daniels last year took us to the NFC Championship game, and he took us to the NFC Championship game with Zach Ertz, Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown was kind of hurt by then and things like that, and the roster was, limited to being ran off of the veterans. Well, if you're drafting these guys like Luke McCaffrey, you're drafting the Jalen Lanes out of Virginia Tech, you got the Ja'Cory Brooks coming out of Louisville, undrafted guy who's making a little bit of noise in camp, looked pretty good today too, in his limited opportunities with Marcus Mariota that I saw and Sam Hartman, guys like that. The biggest thing about this is these guys have to get reps with Jaden Daniels. For Jaden Daniels to make a play out on the field on Sundays when they're going against Dallas or it's 4th down, 3rd down, whatever it is, because we're going to go for it on 4th downs. We saw that last year at an 80-some% clip. The biggest thing about this is you got to have other weapons, man, because teams are just going to bracket Terry. So you got to evolve your scheme from year 1 to year 2. And I trust Cliff Kingsbury to do that regardless if Terry's on the field or not in training camp. But things like this are the way to get Jaden Daniels to say, we're taking your safety blanket because Terry could get hurt. This is the NFL. Injuries happen. So when you have Terry not in camp, you are looking to see who are the guys that are going to step up. And I know I talked about Jalen Lane. I think him having a little bit more impact than maybe guys are talking about. Well, today Jalen Lane looked really, really good. It didn't matter if it was Marcus Mariota, if it was Sam Hartman or whoever. Jalen Lane got a lot of reps, and he was doing it from the slot. He had a couple reps on the outside where he went against Trey Amos. That's a guy I'm going to get into in a little bit. But the biggest thing is Jalen Lane is stepping up. I think I need to see a little bit more of Luke McCaffrey. He looked really good in camp. He kind of got hit with a little bit of an injury over the middle on the first team drills, on first 11 on 11s, kind of went across the middle into the slot, had a defender on his back and kind of ran into somebody. It took him a second to get up. He was back out on the field. It was fine. Again, you don't want to see guys go down, but at least he got up. He was back on the field getting reps. I do need to see a little bit more physicality from Luke McCaffrey. That was something that I was looking for. So him not making that catch on that play where he went down, it's something that I was kind of worried about with him coming out of Rice, because in college you have a lot of spacing, things like that. Last year on tape you saw him with a lot of spacing and things like that, but there could be something in practice where it's like, well, when Luke McCaffrey is close or something like that, or there's physical contact, maybe he's not making catches through contact, which is something that Terry McLaurin is great in. And, if you're not going to be an elite level separator, which has always been the knock on Terry McLaurin, it's he's so high in contested catches because he's not separating at an elite clip. But at the end of the day, he's making the catch, so he's Terry. He does what he does. But Luke McCaffrey is going to have to be able to, at this level, because he's not an elite speed guy. He does run really, really crisp routes and things like that. You're going to see him need to make these catches through contact. So it's something I'm going to need him to work on. Again, I'm not knocking him. I just think that Luke McCaffrey needs time. I mean, he came out of Rice. He's going to need time. But you do see the route running. You do see things like that. I saw a little bit out of KJ Osborne, man. That was a little bit exciting. And then Ja'Cory Brooks, man. I think this guy has a little something to him. Again, I think it comes down to special teams for him. So what can he show by the last week of preseason, week 3? But as far as this wide receiver room, man, there's not much height, man. And Ja'Cory Brooks does have height. And there was a pass today to number 84. I'm slumping on his name. I'm not even going to try to search for it up in my head. But, man, he made a catch with Sam Hartman right after the Jalen Lane catch in training camp today, and it was a fade route, go, 5 seconds left on the clock. They had to, snap the ball. He didn't have time to clock it and throw it over the top. He caught it, and it was a really, really, really good play. But these are the reps that you got to see with these guys, man. And Zach Ertz was on the field today, and you could see that Jaden Daniels feels comfortable with him. He threw a ball 15 yards on a little post pattern. Of course, Hurts does his job. He comes up with the catch. But you're looking to see the Ben Sinnotts. And, like doing on 7-on-7, Jaden really looked good with Ben Sinnott. So I expect a little bit of growth there, man. I've said that multiple times. Just it's him developing as a pass catcher. We saw last year he came into the league, his blocking needed a little bit of work. Well, he worked on that blocking. So I'm excited to see what Ben Sinnott can do. We need another tight end to step up beyond what we're seeing from Zach Ertz, because Zach Ertz is, he stayed healthy last year, man, but that's not something you could bank on for a guy that's 35, 34, whatever he is. You need these guys. I mean, you drafted Ben Sinnott in the second round. You drafted him in the second round for a reason, man. There's a reason why Jerzon Newton is being talked about as a potential breakout. I'm going to get to Mikey in a few. I could talk about Mikey all day, but Mikey is going to be that dude. Mikey's going to be fringe all-pro this year. Just to put that out there, man. I don't care what anybody thinks. I said last year he was going to be a special player. I friggin' ran through the house screaming like a little kid on Christmas when we drafted him. So trust me, I'm bold on this guy because he is that dude. But again, Terry not being here, man, these are valuable reps. Jalen Lane is taking advantage of them reps, and he's a guy that I expected at some point in this season beyond special teams and the impact that I think he's going to make on that. I think this guy is going to be in the slot when Deebo Samuel's not in the slot. Maybe you line up Deebo out wide, Jalen in the slot. You put Deebo in motion. It's just another thing about the triple option and things like that with Krusky Merritt at running back, or maybe you have Brian Robinson or Austin Eckler on third down, something like that. You have Austin Eckler go out and you bring Deebo in motion, and you have run the triple option and things like that. You're going to see a lot of schematical things this year that you didn't see last year because of the personnel. But Jalen Lane can play inside. He can play outside. He's a little bit shorter, man. He's definitely like the 5'10", 5'9" kind of thick build. Looks a lot like Deebo Samuel, but you see the juice, you see the explosiveness. He can go up and make the catch. You can make the catch through physicality. I'm going to show that in a little bit. But that's what I'm saying, man. Terry McLaurin not being there, man. You always want Terry on the field. It was nice to see him back. It's cool to see that, they can at least maybe he can be in the building, not get fined. Maybe they can work closer to a deal. I expect a deal in the next 2 weeks, man. Honestly, I don't have no crystal ball. I'm not in the Adam Peters. I don't have Adam Peters on the hotline, but trust me, man, you're going to get him done, but I think this is a very calculated move by Adam Peters, knowing that we are weak outside of Terry McLaurin being a proven asset. And if Terry McLaurin was to miss some time, you got to be prepared to that if you want to be able to excel and go into the playoffs and not have a sophomore slump. Because whether Jaden Daniels is producing at the same clip as he produced last year, we can be a better team, we can be a more talented team, and we can lose more games. That is a real thing. It doesn't translate like that. The games aren't won on paper. So if Terry McLaurin was to miss time, because he is, as we're saying, approaching the 30 season, things like that, you got to be able to have guys that have a comfort zone with Jaden Daniels that he feels comfortable with on and off the field. They can have the communication, they can go through the reps and do the things like that. To talk about Jaden Daniels, man, this dude throws a beautiful ball, man. And honestly, man, there was something to the clutchness last year. You think about things, 4-quarter comebacks and things like that, man. But some people just have it. It was something that I've always said, man. Back when Russell Wilson was coming out in the draft, man, it didn't really matter how he played for 3 quarters, man. At the end of the game, no matter the talent level around him, man, some guys just have it, and some guys can just turn it on. 5 seconds when actually, man, I'll just I kind of get to this clip. Actually, man, it's kind of something that I wanted to show y'all anyway. This Jalen Lane catch right here, man, this was something that Dude, Jaden just 5 seconds on the clock, calls hike, last play, it's 2 minute drill, right over to the top, over top of Quan Martin, over top of Mikey Sanders still, man. If you watch the clip close enough, man, I was there. I was in that corner of the end zone for practice today, man. You know, you see Mikey touching out of bounds. He's saying his foot was out of bounds. I do think he was out of bounds, but dude, just for Jaden Daniels to throw that ball right where only the receiver could get it, you see two defenders there. He's thrown into double coverage. But when you have that it ability, man, that's the thing about Jaden Daniels I'm talking about, man, having that it factor, having the wherewithal to put the ball where only the wide receiver can get it. You don't want to throw it into double coverage, but at the end of the game, it's either win or lose. So at the end of the day, you got to throw that ball. Could it be a pick? Could be. For some guys, most guys, probably 99% of the population on earth, it is an interception. But for Jaden Daniels, it's right where it needs to be. Jalen Lane goes up there. That's how you build chemistry with the quarterback. And just trust me, man. Jaden Daniels is just that dude. He just looks like he's having fun out there. He looks like a kid out there. He looks like he loves the game, but he looks like he works at it super, super hard. Doesn't mean he doesn't make mistakes. And in training camp, you want to see him make mistakes because that's the time to do it. So other things like that, man, it's just, you know, there's a lot to build on from year one to year two. Comfort in the pocket, staying in the pocket a little bit more. I think last year, when you looked at the offensive line, collectively, they played good. Were they loaded like they are this year, man? Dude, I'm just telling you right now from the pictures and from having them guys walk right in front of you, man. Laramie Tunsil at 350 plus, that is a rocked up dude. Now you got him protecting the blind side of Jaden Daniels, and that moved another huge dude who is another athletic freak in Brandon Coleman into the guard position. So now your left tackle from last year is now your left guard. Tyler Biotish was the staple of the offensive line. He made all the calls on the fronts, all the blitz pickups and all that things like all the blocking schemes, pre-snap and things like that. Dude, I think this is just another thing of Jaden Daniels going to be able to play more from the pocket, be more consumed in it, be able to actually have a run game outside of Jaden Daniels relying on his legs when the play breaks down in the passing game, getting into better second and shorts, being able to dictate patterns a little bit more, be more creative with your play calls, third and shorts, not being fourth down, living and dying by the sword, because we did it a lot last year. So having an improved offensive line. Josh Connerly is a technician, man. I will say one thing about Josh Connerly, man. This is something that I was really, really into him early in the draft process, that I was when I was refining my notes, really setting my board. The tape was rock solid, man. I had a top 15 grade on him anyway, just off of tape. But when you dig into the prospect, man, he was one of the first offensive linemen on the field today. He was one of the first guys on the field today, man. He was over by himself. He was doing little drills. I got some pictures on my phone and things like that. I'm not going to post them here, but just watching him out there working from the right side, because he's never played right tackle. Just he had a ball in front of him. He's setting his feet, getting into his bends, you know, simulating hikes and, you know, doing the step backs for pass blocking and things like that. Clearly, that's something he needed to work on, that the coaches are trying to refine with him as far as his jab steps and things like that before he extends his arms and getting, you know, keeping his back straight, going with good leverage, things like that. So it's just, you know, it's exciting to see when you draft a rookie class, when you have one of your top picks be out there, one of the first guys on the field, trying to refine on techniques and things like that, which he's already pretty technically sound, but there's always going to be things, man. There's always going to be things from one system to another that coaches are just picking at you, and they're going to be like, look, man, this is the NFL, this is in college no more. You're not going to be able to get away with this. This step right here is more important than the way that you were stepping in college. You can't do that on this level, from the right side especially. You're going to be lining up against Micah Parsons and guys like that. It's just it's very critical, man. So seeing Connerly come out there, man, again, that's another piece that I expect to excel. Sam Cosmi wasn't out there today. Again, he's on the PUP list. He should be back around week 1 or week 4, somewhere around there. They're giving good positive feedback on his recovery from ACL that he suffered against Detroit last year. So again, man, you're just stacking all these things, man. You're stacking Jaden Daniels' development. You're looking at him to gain a comfort level with guys other than Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz will be there. Terry McLaurin will be there. You want them guys for the playoffs if you're going to make a playoff run, but you need them healthy to do so. Well, if you're going to ride them like you rode them last year, man, there's a good chance that they're going to suffer some injuries, man. It's just volume. It's the NFL. It's things like that. It's hard to replicate what you did from one year to another. Every year is its own season. It's its own entity. So, again, you got to have that comfort level with other guys. I expect Jalen Lane to be that guy. I expect Noah Brown to be that guy. Noah Brown looked really, really good today. Didn't get a lot of catches in teamwork, except for when they were going the other way. I did see him make a couple catches. I saw one with Marcus Mariota. I saw one with Jaden on an out route. I did see Jaden hit a quick out route to Luke McCaffrey, who I was talking about earlier. Of course, it was the one time that I saw Luke McCaffrey not lined up on Trey Amos, which is why I'm about to get into him. Trey Amos is that dude. He is really that dude. He was the best outside corner that I had in this last class. He wasn't my highest graded corner because I really liked Jody Barron, and I liked Maxwell that went to the Bills. But those guys are athletic freaks, and they're elite level players as far as, like, I don't think, I mean, Jody Barron is not the elite level athlete as far as like the Maxwell level where you're running a 4.29, but Jody Barron was a 4-year starter, really, really crisp tape, inside, outside of Texas, man, a really good leader of the defense, and he made the big plays when it came up. I had him just under Mikey Samerstill in my grades, maybe by like, I think about a half a point, which Mikey Samerstill is the highest grade slot corner that I've graded since Trent McDuffie. Both of those guys, I would say, are all pro level players. I don't know if Jody Barron gets there, but he definitely has the tape as far as his growth and his progression through his career in Texas. I liked him that much. But last year's class was not very, very strong on the outside. That didn't mean I didn't have a really high grade on Trey Amos, but I didn't have a top 5 grade on him. I didn't have no PS2 grade or like Marshawn Lattimore from back in the day. The Sauce Gardners of the world and things like that, man, like the Quinyon Mitchells from last year. Like, he was my highest graded outside corner. He wasn't my highest graded corner overall because I split it up between the slot and I switch it up between the outside. I don't grade them the same because they're two different players. They are two different responsibilities, two different skill sets, two different type of movements, two different, like, just everything about the positions are completely different, man. You got to be built different. Like, you got to have a mind frame to play both of them positions. You got to have different movement skills for both of them positions because there's different things that come from each of those positions, and one of those is the run and things like that, and that's why I have Amos really, really high outside. But again, this dude is legit. He really is legit. I knew there were some back injury concerns that didn't really affect his grade for me because I just graded the prospect. It was something that I noted in my chart, but everything looks fine with this guy. I mean, injuries didn't look like it wasn't a thing at Ole Miss. It wasn't a thing at Alabama. So it's not something that I'm worried about here. If it gets flagged, it gets flagged. It is what it is, man. You can only I trust the coaching staff and I trust this staff as a whole to keep these guys on the field. Do right by them and make sure that they're ready for Sundays. They did that last year. They're a little bit more conservative with their guys. When they do have an injury, they'll hold them out an extra week or things like that. So it's not something that I worry about with this staff. It's something I've been very, very concerned about in years past, not anymore moving forward. Trey Amos is, I mean, that dude pretty much, he just hooks the seatbelt up and he's pretty much riding with whoever receiver that he's got. I would love to see him cover Terry McLaurin in camp. I'm waiting for those highlights. That is one thing I do want Terry McLaurin out there for. So again, this is the double-edged sword. I like Terry McLaurin out because I want to see Jaden develop chemistry with the other wide receivers. I want to see Terry in camp because I want to see him going up against Marshawn Lattimore, Mikey Samerstill, and Trey Amos and guys like that. And I want to see what the safeties are doing and things like that. I also want to see how the chemistry builds around when Terry McLaurin gets back. We need Jaden Daniels to continue to not only work with Terry McLaurin, but why Terry McLaurin is out there. When he sees another receiver that is open, he needs to hit that wide receiver. And that's the thing that he did do. He started to do last year with Daomi Brown, so Daomi Brown is not here anymore. So again, it's something that we're going to have to see him kind of build that repertoire with somebody else that's coming in this year because it's going to be a first-year player or a second-year player that's to this system. So he doesn't get to develop that rapport because Daomi Brown's down in Jacksonville. So again, man, training camp was pretty exciting, man. Mikey Samerstill still had the most insane interception. He was covering Jalen Lane, going the other way on the field, man. It was the craziest thing, man. He just went up for the ball, man, one-handed it, and then knocked it up to himself, and then freaking came down on the ground, called it wasn't touched, and then got up and started running the other way, man. That was pretty cool, man. I'm a super huge Mikey fan, man. Mikey Samerstill is he's an elite level player, man. He's just everything that you want from a player, man. You can just tell that he is a film study junkie, man. Like, he is just always in good position, always has good technique. Always really, 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 really clean feet, man. And he's a physical player, man. You look on that field, man, Agent Zero is not a big dude. He is not a massive human being, man. When you look at the Laramie Tunsils and the Brandon Colemans and the Connor Lees and the Deron Paynes and all that, man, this team is huge. This team is huge up front, man. That's one difference that I noticed from last year to this year. I mean, Wiley was a big dude in himself, and Allegretti's not a small man, but you look at this offensive and defensive front, these are some big, big guys, man. So I'm very, very excited to see. I think we're going to be much better against the run this year. It's something that I expect us to have to do. It was something that they focused on this year. with the Goldman signing and other guys, but and the Kinlaw signing and things like that. But dude, it's that you got to hold up against the run. If you're going to beat Philly, you're going to beat Saquon. Dallas wants to run the ball. Dak is always a mobile quarterback, man. So you got to be able to stop these mobile quarterbacks, man. And then you got to stop the element of the run game behind these mobile quarterbacks, which having a mobile quarterback, as we know with Jaden, should excel the run game. So now that you've improved our offensive line, Jaden Daniels and his leg factor should open it up for Brian Robinson Jr. With a better offensive line, more consistent offensive line, this run game has to be better. Not just from Austin Eckler, not just from B-Rob, not just from Krosky Merritt, but dude, everybody. It's got to be everybody. It's got to be consistent. Week 1 through week 17, through the playoffs, you got to be able to consistently run the football, and you got to be able to close out games. And you do not want your quarterback to be the guy that's doing that. And I mean, great, Jaden can do it. It was nice to see. He can kill you with the legs. He can kill you with the feet, and that's why he's so deadly. That's why we had so many comeback wins. But you want to be able to play with the lead. And then having that clutch factor and being able to put games out, that shows up the same way. It might not be a stat having a fourth quarter comeback because it's just closing out the game. But Jaden Daniels will close out the game because he's a clutch football player. So again, man, it's just nice. It's nice to see Terry McLaurin in there, man, with the teammates. It's nice to see Bobby Wagner and all the guys like celebrating him when he walked out on the field. Didn't practice again, but these reps are valuable, man. It was nice to just see, man. There's a different energy with this camp, man. Dan Quinn was like right in front of us talking about how, it doesn't start week 1. It doesn't start in September, man. It starts in July, and having the fans out there feeding off the energy. The players were excited, and you could see it today, man. You could just see a different vibe, man. This is a whole different team from the team that was here 2 years ago, man. So there is a lot of excitement, man. Could there be a sophomore slump? Could there be all these things? Of course there could, man. It's football. You never really know, man. Every week is its own entity, and but I tell you what, man, just the way that I see this team work on the field, the energy that they carry, the brotherhood that you see, the camaraderie, guys constantly talking to each other on the sidelines, man. Like this camp is just completely different from anything that I've ever seen as a fan of this team. The way that they run it, the way the players are communicating on the sidelines and things like that. So it's very, very exciting. Do I think there's going to be a sophomore slump? No, I really don't. I expect him to pick off right where he left off. What does the record end up at the end of the year? I don't know. I think we're going to be really good. I think we're going to be right there at the end of the year, competing for the division. I think the division is tough. I think Dallas is improved. We all know what Philly is, man. You got to beat Philly if you want to go anywhere this year, man. You got to beat the horses if you want to get to the friggin' finish line. So the finish line means you're going through Philly, and I think there's a bitter taste in some of these guys' mouths for the way that they played that last game last year, man. I think, coming off the Detroit game, there's a high. It's a young team. Yes, we are technically an older team, man, but when you have a 37-year-old, 38-year-old punter or whatever it is, man, you have a 36-year-old kicker, you have Bobby Wagner at 35, you have or 36, and you have Von Miller at 35. Dude, trust me, your average age is up because of guys like that, but that doesn't mean we're an actual old team. Our core of our team is pretty damn young. And coming off the high of going into the number 1 seed in Detroit and then knocking them off the way that we did, pretty much controlling that game. I mean, it was an offensive shootout. There were turnovers, man. It was the best game of the year. If you ask me, not even being biased, it was the best football game that I saw all year. Even better than our Cincinnati game, which was top shelf. So I expect, whatever it is, man, we're going through Philly. And that's what it's going to be. And if you want to do anything serious in the NFC, you're going to go through Philly. So honestly, I think this team embraces that. I think they're happy to be able to say that they got to play them 3 times this year if they really want to expect to do anything better than what they did last year. You're going to have to beat that team 2 out of 3. And Dallas is going to be tougher. Dak's going to be healthy this year, so that's going to be another team that you're going to have to run through. So the test is tougher this year. But again, man, for day 3 and day 4 training camp, man, these were things that I really, really noticed. I wanted to point out things that I've been watching, reports, videos coming out, things like that. Guys that I trust, and just all the clips that I do, all the football that I break down, and just remembering all the tape that I've watched from these guys in college, because I do thousands and thousands of hours of college tape. It's nice to see these type of players on this football team, man. This team is starting to build the right way. He would love to have more draft picks, man, but when you add a Laramie Tunsil, when you add a Deebo Samuel for a 5th round, Deebo looks good, man. Deebo and Jaden, I think there's going to be a little bit more than what he had in San Francisco, man, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I think it's going to be probably about week 4 to week 6 before that relationship really pops off on the mid to intermediate level of the field. But from this day one, you know what Deebo can do with the ball in his hand, screen games, things like that. They're going to do things like that to get touches, get comfort, get in sync with each other. But the intermediate game, from what I saw today, there's a little bit of work to be done in there. And I don't mention Debo as a number 2 because I don't. It's not to knock Debo. It's just for what he does as a weapon. You want the ball in his hands, and that's, yes, you're going to get him intermediate looks. You're going to get him intermediate touches, and I think Debo's going to have a really, really, really good year. But Debo is not taking over for Terry week 1. Nobody is taking over for Terry in case of an injury, but the value of the Jalen Lanes and somebody else stepping up from the outside, being able to do it across from Terry or in place of Terry, make a couple tough catches, things like that. Noah Brown showed he could do that last year, build a little chemistry. That's the thing. That's why this is so important. Debo Samuel is not going to be that guy. I'm not saying he can't line up out wide. I'm not saying he can't make catches over the intermediate part of the field, but that's still going to take time. It's his first year in the system too. While he is going to have a really, really, really good year for himself, it's still going to take time. And that's what I'm saying, man. You need these rookies. You need these other guys to be able to step up and make an impact, because Debo's going to do his thing, and he's going to be a big part in the run game and things like that, and the screen game and all those things. But as is a true wide receiver, man, that part of Debo's game was more South Carolina, and he's bulked up to the point now where I think he is that guy. What he is in his niche is how Mike Shanahan was using him. There is intermediate feels to those games, wheel routes, things like that, but that's almost running back usage in its own right. But he's a running back who can line up out wide, and he is a running back when he gets that ball in his hands. So again, not a knock on Debo, man. It's just the wide receiver position and the way that Debo is. He's just a weapon, man. He's just a weapon, and I don't want to hinder him into a box, because he is not just a singular wide receiver usage type player. And even though he can do it. But I do appreciate you guys stopping by for the pod, man. I was really excited to do this episode, man. Hopefully you guys tuned in and checked out. You guys leave some comments on my YouTube page, things like that. I'd like to, discuss things if you guys have questions, anything like that, man. I'm dialed in, man. It's football time. It's back. We're going all year long. Still breaking down tape from last year of college, man. Just kind of finalize my board. I got all my notes, all my binders full of notes, players, preseason rankings, things like that, things that I expect. It's going to be a really exciting year, man. This is going to be an exciting year for this team. It's going to be an exciting year for college. It's going to be an exciting year for just football's football, man. It's always exciting, man. Who's going to come from last to first, man? How's these teams with new quarterbacks going to do, man? I think Cam Ward's going to do really good. I am a Miami U fan, so I'm going to check him out in Tennessee. He looks pretty good so far from everything I've seen in camp. Got all the size, weight, hell of an arm, things like that. But again, man, thank you guys for checking us out, man. This is from Cody Potter with the Blue Chip Podcast. Have a blessed Sunday. Peace.